So what else? We've talked about other components of fairy tales. So we've got Prince Charming, magic, of course, romance. And what I think is interesting is the really obvious dichotomy between good and evil. We see this, I think, more in like kids' movies or movies aimed at younger people because it's much easier to explain like morals and the difference between good and bad if there's no nuance, if it's very like this person is evil and he just wants power, or he just wants to kill people or whatever, versus a more nuanced version of humans, which would be more realistic. I mean, people aren't actually evil. Like, everyone has shades of good and bad. But in kids' movies, it's much easier to show it as a very clear dichotomy of black and white so that you really understand the morals of the story.
Actually, I was thinking, as you were saying, I'm not super familiar with, like, the actual fairy tales of, like, Hans Christian's, like, Snow Queen or Cinderella, but I'm thinking fairy tales are actually perfect for what Disney's trying to achieve, because Disney needs, like, this, like, very obvious good and bad, and I think fairy tales with those, like, very extreme characters, you can very easily portray the good and bad in order for Disney to use that good and bad to portray, like, a lesson, like a life lesson. And if you want to learn more about our thoughts about life lessons, check out our episode on Disney's life lessons. Was that what it's called?
Disney's always trying to sneak... Yeah, something about
yeah.
that. Disney's always trying to sneak these little life lessons in.
Yeah.
Like that. Which is... Yeah, you know, I think it's mostly a good thing. I mean, it might be a bit problematic to show good and evil as so clear, you know, opposites and no subtleties. But as we get older, we start to understand more nuance.
Yeah. It also makes me think that Disney's been repurposing existing content for so long. Like, we keep thinking about Disney repurposing content now from, like, original. So there's a new Little Mermaid coming out. They did a live action of Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, etc. And that's repurposing the content that they already own. But they're actually repurposing content from Hans Christian's fairy tales. So they are, like, the best at repurposing or adapting content. And I think that's kind of interesting because even now, like, when they acquired the rights to Marvel and Star Wars, they are constantly repurposing content. Like, that's like their engine. That's what they're really good at. And I never thought about it, but maybe their strategy with fairy tales is actually, like, the original strategy that they perfected, and then now they're just, like, really applying it across all of these things by, instead of creating new content, they're just, like, buying things that are really well known and then, like, pumping them out. So fairy tales are actually the original Marvel. Is that true?
Or like with Marvel, yes, because they are buying the rights to the comic books and to adapt those. But with some of these things, with some stories, they come into the public domain, so they don't even have to buy the rights anymore. Like, I think we saw this a couple years ago with The Great Gatsby, when there was that movie adaptation. But, like, there's a certain period of time after which a work is considered in the public domain, which is why we have so many adaptations of Shakespeare's works. And even thinking about, did we talk about this in The Lion King? How The Lion King is based on Hamlet?
Oh, we didn't. Did we?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we touched on that. But it makes it much easier if something is already in the public domain, and so you don't have to worry about buying the rights or, like, who else is, you know, working on a similar project.